repeatedly, Maine possesses a significant wind resource. Right now, more than 50% of the installed capacity in New England is located in Maine. The Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory has identified Maine's wind resource potential is dominating New England's total capacity. Specifically, more than 70% of the wind potential in New England is located in Maine. An initiative that really should unite us is how we can try to expand the benefits from projects going forward. Mainers spend nearly $4,000 annually on energy. That is the 7th highest in the country. And our wind energy resource right now is doing very little to address those underlying energy challenges. Our wind energy goals right now are focused simply on growing the capacity of wind in Maine rather than lowering energy costs or expanding economic opportunities for Mainers. I was surprised to see Section 5. And if you have it in front of you, I'd ask that you bring it out so I can read through exactly what it says. It would include a new sentence that says, an applicant for an expedited wind energy development may submit evidence of the energy and emission-related benefits, but the primary siting authority, the DEP, may not require the submission of the evidence or make specific findings related to energy and emissions-related benefits. What this is doing is preventing the DEP from asking for basic information about the energy and emission benefits, asking for the information. It's not allowing them to set standards for it, but one, what's the capacity factor of this wind project? What will the greenhouse gas reductions be? Is the wind going to be contracted out to a southern New England state and meet the environmental objectives of another state and not Maine's GHG reductions? These are very basic information that can really provide some context to the DEP as they evaluate a project. You know, I think that what we unfortunately get tied into this pro-wind or anti-wind, and I think we are missing a huge opportunity, and that is how can we make Maine benefit from this wind energy resource? It really should unite all the groups to maximize benefits from a wind energy resource, but yet 1750 would continue to try to simply rubber stamp projects going forward without asking those questions of how can we help this project benefit the Maine people. With that, I'd be open to any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Woodcock? Representative Wood?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Director Woodcock, good to have you before our committee again. I could not agree more that we should be working together on this. The only thing that I would say is that, and I'm going to do an isn't that so in a minute, we're talking about the expedited wind. Right, we're not talking about wind that is going through the traditional permitting process. So I'm not immune to getting more information about how a project may move forward, but the intent of the expedited wind territory was that we were, wait for it, going to expedite the wind.
I'm not in the regulatory, I'm not a regulatory agency, but correct me if I'm wrong, but this applies to all grid scale wind projects.
Oh, I misunderstood that because I thought this was specific to, I'm going to have to go back and read that. Thank you for the clarification, because that was why I was curious, because in my mind, we were talking specifically about the expedited wind. I stand corrected, as often is the case, Director Woodcock, but you do it as such a gentleman that I can't be upset about it.
Any other questions for Mr. Woodcock? Representative Tipping Spence.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Woodcock, for coming. I guess this is more a request for the work session rather than a question today, because I know there's a lot of people who want to speak. But an initiative that should unite the legislatures to try to expand benefits from the wind resource to the main people. Any ideas that you have on that front would be greatly appreciated at the work session.
Certainly.
Okay. Representative Beavers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. I agree that there should be a way we could all work together to benefit from our resource. I do have a question, though, and I don't even know if you're the right person I should be asking, but there was something said about agencies not being able to write rules without permission from the legislature. Is there something in law that says that an agency can't develop rules to help them implement their policies without having to come to the legislature?
Well, as a non-attorney, as a layperson, maybe we can try to decipher what they were discussing. There is, in the Wind Energy Act, unallocated language that says that there can be procedures to try to interpret what the legislature meant by this intent. Now, as Commissioner Aho outlined, they've used that for expanding public hearings. They've done that to define flicker shadow, etc., some of which I think everybody would agree with. Obviously, there are people who've come who had concerns with some element of that authority that they've used. But that is the real question of whether that language it gave them enough authority to move forward with what they have done. Some people here disagree with that, and that's why we have a bill.
Okay, so that we still aren't clear exactly. It's a matter of interpretation, it seems. I guess it seems like we're both sides are after the same thing. The wanting that consistency and transparency and so on, and wanting the people to be able to have as much opportunity as possible to participate in the process. And so there obviously, to me, should be a way that we can all get together on that as we go forward. So I think this is more a comment than a question, that your comments were very appropriate on that issue.
Well, it's a balance between setting consistency and providing administrative flexibility to adapt to a changing industry, new projects, and obviously there's a difference of opinion there.